Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Valco Broiler Feeding System Overview and Audit webinar. The sales team has done several of these webinars over the last 2 months in order to still support dealers and customers. Our own territory sales manager, Jacob Cabanis, will be presenting the information to you, and our product engineer, Doug Berkey, will be providing live footage from our training barn in the Coldwater, Ohio facility. My name is Kayla Enfield, and I will be hosting the webinar we are presenting to you. I'm the Senior Project Coordinator for Application Engineering and Tech Support. So before we get this kicked off, I'll just give you a little bit of background about our company. Valco has been around since 1934. They've manufactured watch bearings, aircraft instrumentation bearings, and sapphire phonograph needles. They're creating a new and exciting product line based on innovative thinking, technical research, and field experience. Some of the industries we serve include poultry, egg, swine, dairy, pest, wildlife management, horticultural, and high-pressure fog systems. Our product lines include watering, heating, cooling, ventilation, and feeding, which is why we are here today to discuss broiler feeding. For the webinar, we will keep everyone's mics muted. If you have any questions, down in the lower corner of your screen, you'll see there's a chat box, and you can send me your questions, and we will do a area at the end of the presentation where we can actually ask Jacob and Doug some of your questions. Also, this presentation will be recorded, so in a couple of days we will have it posted for your viewing pleasure later on. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Jacob.
Thank you, Kayla. Can everyone hear me, I hope? Just would like to say, we all know, start out, and thank you for your time. You know, if you're spending right now, we know everyone's busy, but I also like to thank everyone on here. We know what Monday was. It was Memorial Day. If anyone's on here listening that was a veteran or still active in the National Guard or military, we want to thank you for your service, because we know their freedom's not free. We just want to thank you for that. And like Kayla said, I'm Jacob Cabanis. I'm one of the territory sales managers. My territory is Central Western North Carolina, kind of the same in Virginia because of the Shenandoah Valley, and also West Virginia. Today we're wanting to give you a little insight on our VAL-CO Broiler Pan feeding system that we have. Just want to, again, thank you for your time as we get started here. So slide 1, I'm going to go to slide 2. These are just some topics that we're going to cover today. Doug and I will be showing you these. He'll be in the training barn to show you, live pictures of these as well. I just wanted to give you the topics first. Our next slide, we're going to start with, I feel we'll start with the hopper right there in the middle of the house or the end, whichever way you feed your houses. It's a 4-panel galvanized hopper. We offer 2 sizes. One is a 100-pound hopper or 200-pound. And one thing that I would like to show you, I don't know if you can see it well, but this hopper has a really quick and efficient time saver. The way this hopper sticks on top of this boot, you see the clevis there is one on each side. It really, it's a time saver. It's a lightweight hopper. It's not heavy when you're taking it off when you're starting to catch. One thing I'd also like to point out is the top bar up there on top has a lot of settings you can use to keep it from, when you got feet in it, you can move it to see it don't tilt left or right or even forward. Also, we have our option, our cables right here on the sides to keep it from moving as well. You see on this hopper, this person has put in actually 2 switches, a high and a low switch there. You can see they easily go on our hopper without any trouble. The one you see here, this boot that you see here is a single outlet boot the hopper is on. That one has been it's more popular lately where people have been splitting the feed lines for larger houses that are in the system now. But just know we still offer our twin outlet boot that, your line continues, it does not break anywhere. It goes the length of the house, and you still have just one hopper there coming in for your feed. Our next slide I want to show is our feed tube. This is our newer feed tube that we offer, the lock seam tube. It locks in place there, as you can tell. We have really had great success with this feed tube. Our galvanization has always been well and just very hardy, very long lasting tube. We offer these in a smooth tube for our feeders, or a lock seam, like I said, in 9-foot or 10-foot options. As far as, you know, our holes offered for feed pans, of course, we have our 4-hole for the normal pans, and we have our best start holes for chick feeders, mainly for the broiler industry. You're seeing we have a 2-hole added, or four holes added for chick feeders, depending on how you brood. I know some operations have went now to full house brood, or even, you know, or maybe a touch shorter, and they're using the 4-hole tube with 2 best starts in that for the chick feeding. Next slide, one I want to talk about is our auger. The auger that we make, you know, as you see on the notes, is heat treated high carbon steel. I've been to our cold water plant and actually seen this made. The process, the inspection process, is just really, it's unreal what these guys put it through to make sure that our auger, before it's sent out to our dealers and to your end customers on the farm, that it's been really, really tested to make sure that you guys, you know, have no problems with our auger. One of the last things I want to talk about our auger is we have a proprietary post-processing treatment that we put on our auger. What that does, it really, really makes our auger have so much more lasting ability than our competition. So, and the last one, like I said, is made here in cold water, Ohio, which we can hang our hat on. Any product we can make totally in the U.S. Really gives us a step above. Next slide is kind of an overview of our feed pan. I'm sure you've all seen it. If not, you can learn some more today about it. As you can see, it comes in 13 and 14-inch pan diameters, shallow and standard depths. The shallow depth of our pan is 2.4 inches. Our standard depth of our pan is 3 inches. So we also have multiple spoke options or grills. The 13-inch pan only comes in the 13 spoke. Our 14-inch pan is available with a 14 spoke or a 5 spoke, preference, whatever your operation has on their housing specs or whatever you prefer. We're going to move into the features and benefits of the pan. This pan, you know, it came out in 2009, as some of you may or may not know, and we've continually innovated this pan since then. We've made it started out with a 2-piece top, which come later was our 1-piece tower, which made it actually a little bit more strength to it on the line per se. And also too, it kind of cut some costs for your end user by doing that, even making it stronger. But you know, the options on this pan benefits, one of them is just our grill design. Over time, we have made it more bird friendly. I guess you could say it's more pliable, still strong, but pliable so they can get in and out as they go in there. One thing about this pan that really sets it apart is the deep V bottom. What that does for us is when you set these pans down in the litter and it just kind of nestles down there, it really makes the birds very easily to get in and out of the pan for brooding and starting of the chick. And our feed saver lip does a great job, but our large three flood window really makes the pan be able to feel full of feed, and you know, it just does a great job. We got also, you can't really see it inside, it's got some anti-rake fins in the bottom. Doug will hopefully be able to show that when we get to the training barn. That helps also. One thing, I guess one of the last things I want to talk about as far as a great benefit of this pan is how, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, the pan setting, which I know that once you normally set the pan from either a retrofit or a new housing, you don't really mess with it a lot. But if you need to, the pan right here on top, right above the grill, you twist it there, and it's got settings of 1 through 7. And what that does, of course, it makes you put out more feed or less feed, 1 being the less. But if you do need to change it, it's got it, so much easier than a lot of the competition that so we're going to move on to the next slide, which is our control pan. As you can see, it's kind of this, looks like the rest, same pans as what you have in the house already. And this is a mechanical switch pan that we're showing. We also offer it in proximity sensors. Mechanical switch is more than likely more popular lately than the proximity. We can get them in both. But again, I wanted to stress that this mechanical switch is very, very easy to maintain. And you also can see, there's a universal light on top. We can put one there to help attract birds to the control pan to keep feed flowing regularly, keep that switch activated. Or, you can actually put it underneath the line here and clamp it to the line, either way you prefer. So our next slide is going to be an overview of our chick starters, or chick feeders, I should say. We're going to go into each of these individually. The red one you see down here is our Best Start 1 with the feed tray. The yellow with the sleeve extender is the Best Start 2. And of course, over here to the right of that is, some people call it the flower pot style. That's our Clean Start chick feeder. And the bottom right here is our Ultra Start feeder. Okay, so we'll get started with the Best Start 1. To me, this is the older style Best Start that most of us, especially us old veterans, have seen. Starting out, this, you flip in order to put these down and open, you just pull it straight down. It kind of rolls up on top. And also you can see we have one of the largest crown sleeves in the industry to help spread out the feed for the chicks. The one over here is what people mainly see now, the Best Start 2, the yellow one with the green extender. You put these on the line, they fold up to shut them off, fold down, of course, to use feed as you want to put it in your chick tray or, one of the Clean Starts or Ultra Starts. The next one is the Clean Start. This has been a great pan for us that we've, people have started using more and more of. Like it says in the notes, 360-degree feed access. Mainly you want to use it anywhere from 1 to 12 days. Good note that I like about this pan is it keeps a lot of debris, manure, out of this pan as chick start. Less bacterial load possibly as a chick start for the feed. Our next one is our Ultra Start. I don't know, some may have or may not have seen this one. This is a very unique, like it says in the notes, pan. It can use up to 30 birds is what you can bank on. We also offer it with an extended hopper to pretty much over double the feed space. This pan by itself, as you see it, will hold a little over 12.5 pounds. One thing that I've noticed in the field with this one is I've never seen this pan can be completely full. I've never seen it bridge. So the reason for that is the peanut style shape. We also have dividers in the bottom to help keep that from bridging. This is a very hardy pan. It's, it's made kind of like out of the same material as our feeders are. So it's going to last you a very long time. And these also have the ability to be put up on top of the line to store. So you can put them down. It has a slide gate that you can open where your hole is on your line, close it off, and then when you get done feeding, just put them on top of the line as a holder there. Our next slide is our in-control motor mount. As you can tell, right past the control pan, you see this kind of elbow down right here. One function of that on our in-control motor mount is if any feed, starts going by the pan, this will actually overflow back into the feed pan. So wastage won't go directly on the floor to go right into your pan. And as you can tell, you can see it's made of very heavy gauge steel for long lasting a lot of years in your poultry house. Okay, we're going to move into using the feed line. I may repeat myself on some things that is because what I think is important. But using the feed line, one thing I'd like to start out with is, now that your products are in place, your feed lines, you're ready. You want to make sure that the feed line is level for a lot of reasons, really, for your chicks and also too for your feed line maintenance. If you're having feed line issues to where your line is up in one spot or even lower, that can cause issues with your tube and your auger as well. But one thing here, when you start using your feed line, make sure just check your control pan switches before you start the flock, because all of you know that your control pan is what keeps the feed in the lines, and we all want that to stay in the lines and never be out of feed, because we all know you lose, your feed's not there, you lose in performance. You only get so many hours, minutes, ever how you want to put it. Once those birds are placed, you get so much time before the live haul crew comes in and gets them. So I wanted to show this this slide, figure 69 there on the slide. Our mechanical switch is very simple to adjust. You have 2 hex nut screws there that just come off the box. And of course, make sure you've got the power off before you do any of this on this control pan. The next one, you just, you loosen your screws right there, the top and bottom, and you'll come down to figure 71, where it shows the notches where you can move it, sensitivity, add sensitivity or take sensitivity out. And it's just by using these 2 bolts here. And once you're done, please, one thing is do not over tighten these 2 screws. So, but it's very simple to maintain. Flooding the pans and chick feeders. Again, talking about being level, I know I say that a lot, but when the growers, or when you guys put your lines down, if your litter is unlevel in spots, you'll see some pans tilting, and what you want to make sure is every pan goes down flat in the litter. If you got pans that tilt in the litter, that could cause spillage. It also takes away your eating space. So just, have growers minded, you checking, when they're letting stuff down, and make sure everything is level as the pans are flat to the litter before you start feeding in the chick trays. Once you move on the next slide here from brooding, and you're in the grow out phase, again, pan heights, a good ideal height for your pan is always like breast height, where it's even. But one tip I seen when I was in live production is, one thing I tried to stress was, of course, feeder height is too high, is way out of range, but just making sure that the birds are not, once they get in the grow up stage, are not laying down and just eating in the pan. That'll take from your feed conversion some, but just eating for habit versus growth. And just make sure they have to stand up to get into the pan, to get their neck there, and it'll really help you too. Also, while you're in the grow out phase, as far as, we haven't talked about it because this is the feed part of it, but your field system switches also play a role in your feed system, of course. Keeping those maintained and working correctly really, help longevity of your feed tubes, because your hopper runs out there and you're not coming to draw anything out of the bulk tank. Your line sitting there running empty, of course, does not help, your auger and your feed tube over longevity. But, check those out. And again, monitor your control pans as well. And the next slide in conclusion, is just, between your flocks. One good thing is to, remove all the feed from your lines, run the auger. These pans that we have that, I showed, where you flip the top and it actually just swings. So you can put the excess feed in a wheelbarrow or let it fall to the ground, whichever you prefer. Always check your drive head gear oil box, your oil in your box there. You definitely don't want that running out. And, we've all come in a house and hopper's running, and you hear that hopper just squeaking. Just always, please be mindful, checking those grease your boot hopper bearings, because it's just going to wear those out and cause problems. And again, check your feed tube for wear. When you're out of birds, when the growers are out of birds, just walk down the line, check it out just to see if there's any kind of, wear to that by the auger for some reason, and get that fixed between plots, because any kind of feed wastage, of course, goes into feed conversion. And of course, check your electrical connections around your mechanical switches, your down at the end at your drive head, and also your field system. Check all those out and be mindful, though, make sure you're being safe with that. And I appreciate your time so far, but I'm going to send it over to Mr. Doug Berkey in our Coldwater, Ohio training barn.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well and being safe out there today. And as Jacob, you've seen the slides, we're going to talk about the pan system. First, a real quick summary of myself. My name's Doug Berkey. I've been with Valco for years. Worked through different departments, working with tooling, manufacturing, and tech support, along with the engineering departments. So I got a lot of background with all of our equipment, and hopefully we're here to help everyone and have the best products we have for you. So as we discuss some of these feeding components, everything you can see here, we have a broiler line here. We have the fuse feeders on there as well. We have a number of the supplementary feeders. We have our control system here, control pan. And as Jacob said before, this design here allows it, if there is any bypass, if for some reason any feed gets carried over through here, it automatically gets directed back into the pan. So you're not binding it up inside here against the motor reducer. You're not dropping it on the floor. It's going right back in the pan. So there's no wastage, there's no loss. On this joint, this whole system right here, this whole mounting unit here, we have a solid two-piece joiner here. Very handy to have. It's very good to have this. With a shorter system, with a shorter pipe right here, and as you hold your motor, you support your motor and reducer here, with a joint right there at the next tube, you could have a tendency for things to cock a little bit on an angle. And that's very rough on your system. You could wear through tubes. The auger could be wearing through it. So this two-piece joiner helps keep everything aligned, helps keep your control tube and your last feed tube in a straight line. That prevents a lot of wear on the system. And as we discussed that, and keeping everything straight, that's a very important aspect you need to have with your pan systems. The entire lines, you want to make sure that they're very level. You don't want any bowing or anything in the tubes. As your auger is installed, it's very horizontal, it's tight, it's stretched. So if the tube is doing this, the auger wants to stay straight, so it's going to start hitting spots and wear through the tube very quickly. So you'll have to replace tubes, long before you think you should ever have to do it. So a good point. This is a very good product to have on there. It keeps everything straight at that joint. Going down the line, you see we have our best start tube here. As Jacob said, if you don't need to use that, pull that up out of the way. It shuts the feed off after you need that supplemental feeding. Again, you just straighten it back down, unfold it. We have pans here that we have 14-inch, we have 13-inch, we have 14-spoke, we have a 5-spoke pan as well. And as Jacob discussed about adjusting these, it's very easy to do. You simply grab a hold of this and rotate this wherever you need to. There is a boss, a molded component inside or on the grill that shows setting you are adjusted to. So again, they adjust very quickly, very easily, and a very positive product we have there. We also have your clean start. It's good supplemental feeding right there, 360-degree access to it. We have your shut off on there where you simply rotate that to open the best start hole or the chick hole, and so you slide that around, spin it around. We also have the Ultra Start, very nice product right there where it sits underneath there. It's got a unique shape to it, so it fits in with the pans, and very positive, strong component. When you don't need it, you can go ahead We have the mounting system where it sits right on top of the feed tubes. It's out of the way, it's sturdy, it doesn't move, and it's good for storage right there. When you do want to put it back into place, unhook it, lift it off the tube, set it right back into place. It's good that these mounting components, they also have a shutoff slide mechanism. You may not see it very well, but there is a shutoff inside there that also prevents the feed from coming out when you don't need them activated. Going down the line a bit more, and as you see, we'll go talk to these right here. We have a one-piece tower and we have a two-piece tower. The one piece where, you know, it's a quicker installation when you first install the barns or you're first setting things up. Two-piece are good if you have to replace a tower for some reason. You take the old one off. You do not have to separate the pipe. You do not have to take the auger out of the pipe. You can go ahead and put the two-piece on as a replacement. Another supplemental feeder we have is the Best Start 2, and we have our feed trays right there. We have the feeding disbursement right there, and when you don't need to disperse the feed whatsoever, you simply rotate it. It automatically shuts the feed off, and it's out of place. It does not any other object, so it's a very nice unit to have. When you want to put it back in place, simply spin it, ready to go. Place your pan, and you're ready to go. And as we're walking through here, you can see, again, as I said, we have a 5-spoke grill with the pan as well. These are nice pans. They float very nicely. That, you know, when if you need things, if the birds are bumping it, it automatically comes right back and down into place. One thing to remember when you're in flood and you're setting the pans on the litter, make sure all the pans are setting level. If you do not level that litter and a pan is caught like this, and the litter is in a way, you're dumping all your feed to one side. Birds can't access it very easily from this side, and you could have spillage too. So you have feed wastage. So always make sure when you set everything with the new flock, make sure everything's nice and level. We also have the option, if you want, we have slide shutoffs for the pans as well. If for some reason you want to cut one pan off, you know, you don't have no feed in it, you get the towers with the slide shutoff. Simply shut it off or open the Best Start hole or the feed hole. As we go down the line, we're talking about different components. So we have a hopper, and it's a nice hopper slipped-in unit where you get in here, the camera here, we have a guide that holds in place. There is a pin and a clip that holds it and the whole thing in place. You simply pull that pin on both sides of the unit, and you can lift the hopper right out of the place. Again, it's a real nice slip-in, drop-in, if you want to call it. Very easy to access. We do have the cable retainers on either side of the hopper to keep it from rotating back and forth, keep it from tipping. And then we have our feed level switches inside their hopper level switch. We got the discharge head, everything we have here. And as you're going through, you know, operating these things, obviously you want to verify, as Jacob said, make sure everything's level. Always inspect things between flocks. Check your limit switches, as Jacob was saying. Make sure they're working properly. And another thing to look at between flocks is check your oil level and your gearbox. Always want to check it inside here. Make sure it's the right position. There's a viewing port on one side. You take the screw out, and you can see at the level of the oil you want to that screw. Once a year, you should replace the oil, change the oil in the gearbox. It's an 80-90 weight gear oil, and that's always good to keep things working properly each year. One of the main things to look at during installation when you first install these units, this breather plug. The complete drive unit is shipped with the breather plug separate. There's a solid plug in there for shipping purposes. That way you do not leak any oil out. But when you do install, you must put in this breather plug. If you do not install that, when things are operating, things heat up. So everything inside there is pretty much sealed. So the air thing in there, the pressure expands, air expands. That oil has to go somewhere. Since the air is not escaping, it's forcing everything in a tighter space. So the oil may come out and break through the seals. that the joints where the two pieces come together or at the motor. So it's always important to remember to make sure that you install that breather plug before operation. That allows that, when everything expands from heat, that air to escape. But when it cools down, the air come right back in and make sure everything's pressurized properly. That's what we have on the feed line today. I hope everybody understands and sees what we got and like it. And we'll open everything up for questions now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jacob and Doug, for your presentation. If anybody has any questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat box. I do have a couple questions here to start off with. Jacob, if you would want to answer them. All right, the first question that we have is, how do you determine which feed tube length is better for your operation? 4 pans on 9 foot or 4 pans on 10 foot?
I would guess that is probably a good rule of thumb is the bird density, how many birds you would like to have, in your specs per pan. Also too, depending on, your housing size. That's the way I'd answer that one as far as birds per the density, stocking density for your operation is where I would determine that 4 on 9 or 4 on 10.
All right, very good. Next question. Control pan grill preference, 5-spoke or 14-spoke?
I guess that, really, most people put, I guess, to match what they put in the barn as far as 14-spoke or 5-spoke, but I guess a personal preference, if that's, okay to answer with, I kind of like the larger spokes for control pans. That way the birds get, when they're younger, and you can get your hand in there, but it doesn't really, I guess that would be totally preference on what you like. As far as answering the 5-spoke or 14-spoke, but I think some have gone to using more of the wider spoke on control pans, but either way, they're both great additions to the feeding system.
All right, next question. Actually, we'll kind of piggyback off of that one that we just discussed. The question is, how many birds per 14-inch pan are growers using in the USA? Are they working?
Repeat that one more time, Kayla.
How many birds per 14-inch pan are growers in the USA using?
Oh, wow. How many birds per 14-inch pan? Doug, is Doug on there? Is he on the line? Could you might help me with this one? I haven't got that one yet.
I'm not sure exactly what most people are using as the density per pan. We recommend, and I have to look at the settings or the specifications of the pan, and we have different, whether it be the 14-spoke as asked, but there's also the 13-inch, I'm sorry, the 14-inch. But I'm not positive right offhand what that bird density is per pan on the size of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess, most people, Kayla, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
I guess, a good rule of thumb, maybe 55 to 60 would be a good rule of thumb to use. Birds per pan.
Okay. All right, next question. Supplemental chick feeders. What is your preference for your operation? Clean starts, ultra start, or best start with feed tray?
I guess, your operation is whatever you have seen to be the best for the way you start bird. Densities matter. I know some of the maybe organic people have went toward the ultra start or the best or the clean start, I guess you could say, but all do a great job. It would depend on your actual bird densities, I would say. that would help you complete your package of chick starts, whether it be a feed tray, an ultra start, or a clean start to go with that. But all are great additions to whichever way you would like to. Like I said, depending on your bird starting density.
From what I'm being told, Ultra Start is probably your premium choice, correct?
Yes, that's right. The ultra start is a premium due to, you know, it fits in well too. Even if you go with the 409, this ultra start really, you know, fits in well there on tight densities as far as even, you know, really tight density birds. The premium is the ultra start, of course, because, you know, the thing too, once you're done, you hang it right back on the line and you're out of the way till you come back to the next flock. They really, again, work well. Got 30 birds per pan on the ultra start, and longevity of the pan is really there. You're exactly right, Kayla.
Okay. I'm actually getting information about the question that was asked previously about how many birds per 14-inch pan, and it's saying the recommendation is 55 to 80 depending on the size of the birds.
Okay.
So for everyone to know. Does anybody else have any further questions that they would like to discuss today? All right, well, I guess we will wrap this up. We're kind of close to the 45-minute mark anyways. We don't want to take any more of people's time. But I want to thank Jacob and Doug and all of the attendees today for their time and watching our presentation. We'll be sending out audits and checklists in the near future on the product we discussed today. Also, as I said before, this presentation will be available for viewing in a couple days. If you'd like to view any more information or product on Valco, please visit our website at valco.com. And once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Please stay safe and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.